We're here to discuss the costs of what it took to move from the US to Cambodia. For airfare, I used my credit card points. I got a ticket using my credit card points from Cathay Pacific Airways for $560. It was $560 a person because I got one for me and for him. He couldn't use his because Cathay Pacific Airways does not allow cats. So he ended up going with Delta.
Yeah, I had to get a whole new Delta ticket because they wouldn't accept my cat. They wanted me to put him on a whole new cargo plane or whatever, which would have cost probably twice as much anyway. So 2 weeks before we left, after dealing with these people, I ended up buying a ticket for about $1,600 with Delta so that my cat could ride with me underneath my seat. And it was an extra $200 for the cat to ride with me. So it was like $1,850, $1,900 for him to ride with me.
He got free luggage because his flight was delayed. I wasn't so lucky. I had 4 pieces of luggage. All of them were overweight. I ended up spending $680 getting luggage over to Cambodia. One of those was my DJ decks. I have a good excuse.
Yeah.
In order to come... Go ahead.
I was going to say, the only reason I didn't get charged is because they delayed my flight. So I did get lucky, I guess, in that aspect. Otherwise, I would have been charged.
You still paid $50 for...
one extra piece of luggage.
For one additional piece of luggage.
Yeah, but I would have been charged a lot more if it wasn't for being delayed. Yeah.
You have to go on the Cambodia website before you come here and get your e-visa. It's a super easy online application process. You'll get approved in no time. Piece of cake. $35 a person. In order to stay here, that visitor visa?
Yes, visitor visa is a 30-day visa.
Is a 30-day visa, and you need to get your EB visa, which is going to be your visa for the year. And you also need to get your work permit to be qualified to work in Cambodia, even if you're doing what we're doing, which is working online as English teachers. The work permit ended up being $255 a person, and then the EB visa ended up being $335 a person. So it ended up being $590 per person.
Yeah, for the work permit and the extended business visa for the year.
Business visa, meaning that you're here because you're working.
The only caveat is that the work permit renews at January 1st every year. So no matter when you purchase it, we did a decent job, but ours is going to expire on the 1st of January. So we're going to have to redo it on the 1st of January. But then it'll be good for the whole year.
But our EB visa renews a year from when we apply for it?
Yes.
Oh,
which
wow.
is next year, April.
I love that.
Like that. So 2020, yeah, we're good for a year with that. But it's just the work permit that renews on the 1st of January. Probably just because of laws.
Perfect. Cambodia is one of the few places that does not require you to prove income or prove employment in order to move here. However, we knew that we were going to want to be teaching English online when we moved here. So we applied online to get our TEFL certificate, which is teaching English as a foreign language. We used TEFL for Full Circle and got the 120-hour course. You do it at home, you do it online, and then they send you your certificate at the end. I paid $235 for my TEFL certificate online.
Yeah, and I used the code that they gave us, which she didn't, but I used the code, and it was like $185 or something, $190.
Yeah, and then they send you your certificate. You're certified to teach English as a foreign language. You can use that to apply on the websites like Preply. That's the website that we use to teach our students. Yeah. In order to, let's see. Oh, I had time left on my passport, but he did not. So how much did you spend on your passport?
So I had to get a brand new passport, which just the passport's $120 right now. But I got it expedited because we wanted to leave as soon as possible. So that was another $60. So it was total $180 to get my passport, and it expedited within 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of like the 4 months.
Yes. There are also some vaccines that are highly, highly recommended before you come here. They are not required.
Not required, but...
But if you are going to be consuming any of the food here, get your typhoid vaccine. And the other vaccine that came highly recommended was hepatitis A. We ended up spending $600 a person for those 2
or a little more
vaccines alone. We actually went down the list of all the vaccines we wanted to get before we came here, and we were quoted $6,000.
Yeah.
So we settled on those 2 vaccines,
Yeah.
typhoid and hepatitis A, before we came here, and just got those for $600 a person. In order for your pet to come over, what is required?
So from Tommy to come over here, I had to get you have to microchip him first before the rabies shot, which is a weird regulation they have, but it is a rule. But microchip first, which was $43, and then the rabies shot, which was $124 for 3 years. And then there's this other one that is the FVRCP, and that was another $43.
Yes.
But it's only those 2 vaccines and a microchip.
Yeah.
Totaled about, I don't know, $200 total.
Yeah.
I guess.
A little over $200. If you end up wanting to drive when you're here, which probably won't be required, especially if you're living in the city, tuk-tuks. I took a 45-minute tuk-tuk the other day that was $4.
Yeah.
So if you decide that you want to drive while you're here, you need to get your licensing for driving overseas before you leave the United States. You cannot get it while you're here. However, if you want to rent a motorbike, you can do that as long as the motorbike is below 50 cc's.
Yeah, which I'm pretty sure all of them are. Because
Yeah.
there's 8-year-olds that drive around on the streets
Literally.
carrying other 8-year-olds, and it's legal.
Yeah, and
Because
those don't
they're just like mopeds, basically.
exactly. Those
So-
don't require any licensing in order to
so
drive.
you really don't need a license. You can buy a moto for $600 and
Yeah.
drive freely here if you're brave enough.
Yeah. And then not recommended, but and then of course when you get here, it's just your standard cost of living. You're gonna have to pay your first and last month's rent when you move into a place. This condo is $400 a month. The average place to live here is anywhere between $200 and $500 a month. That is the average rent. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath for $400
With a pool,
all
a
the
gym,
amenities that
a
you
sauna,
could possibly
there's
want.
a massage parlor downstairs
So,
where
yeah.
you can get an $8 massage.
For an
We
hour,
live in
yeah.
Phnom Penh, which is the biggest city also, so it's a little more
Yeah.
expensive here. So the farther away from the city, the cheaper it gets.
Yeah, and then the only utilities that we are being charged here are water and electricity. We have yet to receive our first bill, which is super scary. But we'll update you on what the cost is for that. But those are the only 2 utilities they charge us for here.
From our research, the water is very low. It's
Low cost.
nothing to worry about, but the electricity is the big monster, I guess, here. So we'll see. We've been trying to run the AC the least amount of possible, but it's just freaking deathly hot here. So we have been trying to adapt.
so
but
terrible.
yeah, we did forget to mention that when you first come here, you have to buy a return ticket, which is basically
Yes.
a fake ticket.
Fake return ticket.
This is a very strange thing, but sometimes they'll check for it. But you need to like prove that you are going to be leaving within that 30-day vacation visa that you first get. You have to prove that you have a flight out of the country. You know, basically stating that you're just a tourist, like for 30 days.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to buy, and then
Regardless of if you plan to get an extended stay
yeah,
visa
and
or
we
not.
We got some great information from
And those-
one of our friends.
And
that
those
told us.
tickets are $15 a person.
And yes.
You book them online. They're fake. They're strictly to protect the country that you're moving into, because I guess if there's an issue with your visa and they have to turn you around, that costs them a lot of money. So it's literally just like insurance. It's a way to ensure that you don't like screw them over.
Yeah, because they'll usually have to pay
It's
for your
fake.
flight back to
Yeah.
the country that you
It's
are
fake,
flying from.
but it's $15.
But there
a
are a
person.
bunch of websites that we can give you if you want. Message us and we can message you
Or-
those ones.
You could go to the page of Exit Plan, our good friend, at Ghost of Karl Marx
On TikTok.
on TikTok, because yeah,
He's the one who gave us pretty much
all the
of our
information.
And he's such an amazing
and made
amazing
everything
person.
so easy.
Yeah, we love him.
And if we think of more costs, we will be getting at you with those. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you very soon.
Have a good night. Or morning, depending on where you are.
Who knows? And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.